Co-authoring in SharePoint 2013 has at least two advantages. The first advantage is that several people can work on the same document at the same time. Now, you're probably aware of checking out documents in SharePoint, and what this means is that when you check out a document, you are locking out everyone else. No one can work in that document until you check it back in. But with co-authoring, multiple people are allowed to work on the same document at the same time. The second advantage is that at the end of the day, there's only one document, so there's no need to combine multiple documents into one, because all the comments or edits are there for everyone to see from the moment that they're made. Now, in order to set up a document library for co-authoring, we have to make a couple changes, or at least ensure that those changes have already been made. Now, I'm going to do and be looking at a few tabs and menu commands, and if those tabs or menu commands don't exist or they're grayed out, it's probably because you don't have the permissions. So check your permissions, that you have the permissions to make those changes to the library settings for a specific document library. Now, up in the upper left-hand corner, you can see the tab for library, so I'm going to click on the tab. That opens up a ribbon, and on the right-hand side, I can see library settings, so I'll click that. Now there's two places that we're going to go, and I'm going to start with versioning settings. Now the first change that I'm going to make, or actually that I'm going to ensure has been made, is personal preference. That's document version history. Now my preference is to have SharePoint keep several versions over time, so that if someone does make a change or makes an error that's major, we can always go back to the previous version. So under document version history, we have a couple radio buttons. I typically select the one labeled create major and minor draft versions. So that radio button has already been selected. The other change, or at least the other choice that I want to make ensure has been made, is the last one on this particular page, required checkout. And the question is, required documents to be checked out before they can be edited. And we want to ensure that the radio button here for no is selected. We do not want checkout, because checkout would lock everyone else out of the editing process while we or someone has checked it out. At this point, I'm done with this page, so I'll click on the OK button. That brings me back to the library settings page, and here I want to go to the advanced settings. And in this case, I'm going to scroll down until I see opening documents in the browser. And the question is default open behavior for browser-enabled documents. And I select open in the client application. Now, SharePoint has some web apps for the different Microsoft Office applications. Specifically, there's a web app for MS Word. And what that means is, even if you don't have MS Word installed on your desktop computer or the computer that you're using to access SharePoint, you can still make edits in it. But since everybody typically has MS Word installed on their computer, we don't need this. And I do think for someone who's not used to seeing that web app, it can be a little bit confusing at first. So I always select open in the client application, and that radio button is clicked. So I scroll down to the bottom of this particular page and I click on the OK button. Now I'm going to look at the important documents. That's the name of my document library again, and I created a Word document called test. So I'm going to click on this and open it up. It's going to ask me, how would you like to open this file? And I do want to make some edits. So I select the edit radio button and click the OK button. Word will open now. Now I can make a few more edits if I want. I can just say test 1, 2, 3. Those are my changes. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on the save button. And you can see this icon looks a little bit different. It's got those arrows in a circular motion. And what this means, every time I save, it will upload this version of the Word document into SharePoint. So at this point, anybody else has the possibility of opening up this particular document, and they will see test 1, 2, 3. I don't have to close it. These changes are made visible to everyone who has access to that document library as soon as I click on the Save button. Now there's one more thing that I want to show you, which is under the File menu. If I just click on the File menu, this opens up, and as you can see, we have an info page. At the bottom on the left-hand column, there is a section called Versions and Checkout, and you can see the versioning here that I set up in the previous under versioning settings, every time I make a change or anyone makes a change and saves it, those changes are reflected in the versioning. So I could go back to a previous version if I wasn't happy with the changes or if there was some kind of error or some other circumstance. Otherwise, you don't really have to worry about this, but you can also see who's been working on the document, or at least see who's been saving the document. So these are the versions. Anyway, that ends this quick tutorial on co-authoring in SharePoint 2013.